Right. So it is officially recording. You all ready?
Yep. Yep.
Welcome into Pay Dirt Sports. We've got a familiar voice right now, Nick, in the studio. But we're going to have two different voices. Haven't been on the show yet, but some of you avid Pay Dirt listeners are going to recognize their names. Very similar to mine. We actually share the last names here. I have got my twin little sisters of the Lady Pacers basketball team, which y'all have heard about all year long. Welcome, Emily and Delaney, to Pay Dirt. How we doing tonight, girls?
Good. Glad to be here.
We're good.
Well, we've got some special stuff in store for y'all today. Wanted to almost kind of do a biopic. We talk a lot about college athletes, college football, but we haven't got the chance to actually interview and talk to a current college athlete, and we are lucky enough today to have two. So to kind of start off things, I want to kick it off going way back here a little bit about your love of basketball, where y'all initially found it, and just kind of how you got into the things. Because y'all got into basketball a little bit later than I think some kids do. Y'all still got in early on, but kind of talk about Delaney, why don't you start? And then Emily, you can follow after that, how that kind of process was and what y'all love about basketball so much.
Yeah, we both started playing in like sixth grade or summer going into sixth grade. My dad just made us start because we were tall. So it was just like something to try, see how we liked it and everything. And then immediately me and Em just fell in love with it. We thought it was just a lot of fun and we really thought we could get good at it. And you know, how much work and stuff we put into it, we did get good and now we're college athletes. So
Yeah, I mean, being tall our whole lives, everyone has always asked, like, do you play volleyball? Do you play basketball? And so that's just kind of carried with us throughout the years. But that was the biggest reason why we started playing, and we just fell in love with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know. Definitely from my experience, I could tell pretty early on y'all were obsessed with it. We'd be playing all the time in the backyard, playing downstairs in the basement on the mini hoop, dunking on each other for 3 hours straight. And these two hung with the best of them. They hung with me, being my big dumb self, throwing my weight around and all that. And they hung right in there. They played with my friends too. So I've seen them come a long way, and it's pretty exciting to see them get to this point. So moving on to high school, obviously y'all had some pretty amazing high school careers, both in the 1,000-point club at Brentwood, set the precedent for probably the best women's basketball season in Brentwood history, going 24-1 your senior season, if I remember correctly. Kind of talk about what it meant to you starting off as a freshman, starting really learning from some of the seniors, learning from some of the players that were mentors from you in the beginning, and then kind of how that turned into, I feel like y'all were almost mentors for some players when you were seniors, and a lot of those girls really appreciated you guys and loved having you on the team. So we'll start off opposite ways. Em, why don't you kind of kick us off, and then Lainey, you'll follow up after that.
So, yeah, going into freshman year, I mean, me and Lainey both were on varsity and even got like some starts within the season. And so we were kind of thrown into it, having to be leaders on the court right off the bat, which kind of made us grow up a little bit and mature on the court. And playing with each other obviously gives us a big advantage. Playing all 4 years together by our senior year, I mean, Lainey would know what I'm doing before I'm even doing it. And I could pass her the ball, or I could just like throw it and know she's going to catch it. But yeah, we played with some great players. I mean, you know, Izzy, she kind of took
Franco,
us under
yep.
her wing, her junior and senior year. And we got to play alongside her, watch her go through the recruiting process to play college basketball and everything, see how her situation turned out. But Brentwood was a special place for us. We loved it, got a lot of our closest friends and best memories there.
yeah, just like what she said, we were kind of thrown into it freshman year. We kind of had to adjust and just get used to the different kind of playing style from middle school to high school. Obviously, it's a big difference, especially at the varsity level. And so it was just a big change, but I think we adjusted pretty quickly and kind of got used to it pretty fast. And then senior year, we had such a great season. It was just a lot of fun. It was a fun way to end our high school career. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round of the state tournament, but it was
Hey,
just a cool
the state
experience.
tournament was canceled. We don't know what could have happened.
Right, right. Yeah. No idea, that's true. But
So that was
it
the COVID
was
year for you listeners. They
yeah.
actually had their tournament cut short. So we don't know what would have happened. Maybe a team could have gotten disqualified. We don't know.
Yeah. But it was just a good way to end our high school career. It was just so fun playing with everyone, meeting some really great people. Um, just it was a really good experience at Brentwood for both of us.
Yeah, and kind of talking about that experience a little bit, something that y'all had mentioned recently, some of the high school games y'all played in had, and Brentwood was kind of known for this being a basketball school, both the women's and men's teams being pretty rowdy crowds. And I think y'all's junior year, people were painting up with your name and numbers on the back. Y'all had all kinds of people coming to watch the games. Why don't each of y'all will keep this reverse going. Delaney, you start, and then Em will finish up. Kind of your favorite moment, either your junior or senior year, a favorite game that you remember really well for some reason, just a special moment that stuck out to you.
Yeah, our sophomore and junior year, we had really, really good student sections just because we had a scout team. And so we became really good friends with them. We would go out to dinner and have team dinners and everything with them. And so they always got everyone to come support us. They'd paint up for us, be there at the beginning of our games, which a lot of people didn't do. So that was really fun. But my best memory that I could think of is probably the sub-state game our senior year when we beat Beach. We beat them by like 1, and it
Yeah,
was just like an insane game. And I just remember Caitlin was shooting free throws at the end. Caitlin Lorenzi, she's one of our best friends, but she was shooting free throws at the end, and there's a video of all of us just running to the mid-court, hugging and jumping and celebrating because we are going to state, and so that's probably my favorite memory.
yeah, that was a good one. I think I was at that game, wasn't I?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I remember that one. Em, what about you?
There's definitely a lot, but like Lainey said, our sophomore and junior years, we had awesome scout teams, and they would always cheer and scream for us during our games. And one that really sticks in my mind is our sophomore year at Nolensville. During our game, the student section got kicked out by the refs because
I remember that.
yeah, I had just gotten a foul and the ref like came up to me and was like, "You got to stay out of that, like I'm not going to call another foul on you," because it was a good close game. And literally next play down, he called another foul. And it wasn't even on me. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be on Laney, but he called it on me and it was my 5th foul. And so the student section went crazy and they were just screaming at the ref, and our entire student section got kicked out of the girls' game, which
That was
just
awful.
never happened.
I went
So
and talked to that
That's
ref
unheard
after
of.
too. That was a crazy game. I
yeah,
think me and wasn't my buddy Tyler and maybe a couple other people there as well.
I think so.
probably.
A lot of
Yeah,
people came back for that game, like some of our scout team that had already graduated from the previous year. They came back and watched that game. I don't know if that was like in the region tournament or some kind of
it
tournament,
was
but
something big because I remember going
yeah,
back for it, and a couple of my friends I remember were there, and it was a big deal
yeah.
for Brentwood like athletics at the time.
But yeah, I'll just always remember like the entire student section getting kicked out during the girls' game.
Well, they
Like
were
they didn't.
cussing at the ref, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, I remember that. It's funny you brought that up. That's bringing back some memories that I had forgotten. That was a that was an awesome moment for sure. Um, so kind of, I guess transitioning here a little bit from high school. Obviously, y'all finished with some awesome careers. Delaney shot well. I guess before we finish out, I wanted to bring this up. Your 3-point percentage senior year was the best in TSSA women's history, right? 57% from the 3-point line.
I don't know if it's in history, but it was number one my senior year, and it was 55%.
55. Okay, I was too. I knew. I mean, that's Kyle Korver-esque shooting, Steve Kerr-esque shooting in the NBA, shooting above 50% is almost impossible. So that was pretty amazing feat that you've carried on that 3-point shooting percentage and shot really well in college too. So it's been exciting to kind of see you really improve your jump shot and make things happen.
Thanks.
So transitioning here to freshman year, as a reminder for the listeners, this was still during COVID, so it was a really weird year. A lot of games getting canceled. Em, why don't you kick us off on this one? Kind of give us a little background, and Laney, why don't you follow up with a little bit more insight and kind of talk about what it was like to be on a team during that COVID era and just having a lot of trouble playing games.
Yeah, so we ended up only getting to play 7 games that year. But me and Lainey were like immediate factors on the team. Like we started all 7 games and we're averaging like 38, 39 minutes a game. So it was a lot of fun like while we were playing, but it would just be really disheartening and discouraging walking into shoot around like morning of game day, and then the athletic director walks in and says, sorry guys, like the other team just caught COVID, they're not going to be showing up, there's no game today. We would go like a month just straight practicing, not playing games in the middle of December, like our season. So it was a really hard time, especially because classes were also online, and like that's our first year of college where we're supposed to be experiencing new things, and we really didn't get to meet other people besides like our team because we had to kind of isolate just in case we did get a chance to play. We don't want to risk getting COVID. So it was really weird, but I mean things have gotten a lot better since then. But that year was definitely a challenge, really, really tough.
Yeah, I agree. Just
keep
like
going.
our first game wasn't until like middle of December, which was just so weird because like your season's supposed to start at the end of October. We have preseason workouts and everything, and we're getting ready to start our freshman year season. And then, like she said, our athletic director would just come in day of game or day before game and just say, never mind, like maybe we'll try again next week with the next game. And it was just very frustrating because you're practicing for so long and you're waiting to play a game and then it just keeps getting canceled. So we got to start our season late and then we ended it short. And so it was just a very weird season. And I mean, ever since then, it's gotten a lot better. And this year, especially, has been a lot of fun. But yeah, just freshman year, it wasn't normal. It was just something weird that it's just a very different experience that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, and I know how you mentioned kind of it sucks having to practice and work so hard, kind of all that go to waste. And I know y'all are really competitive and like to work hard and see the fruits of your labor. And it sucks to put in all that hard work and not be able to show off on the court. Hey, look what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of.
exactly.
Oh, go ahead, Em.
I just said, yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
everyone on our team was just kind of tired of it. There was one point in the season where he said we could play, I think, 7 games in 14 days, and everyone was just dead by that point. I mean, we've been practicing for 3 months straight, not even getting to play but like 4 games. So, yeah.
And kind of going off that hard work, obviously y'all got into weightlifting in college, which was really cool. I wanted to hear a little bit from each perspective what y'all thought was the biggest challenge and biggest change going from high school to college. Obviously, it's a whole different level, whole different ball field, a lot of great players playing. What did that kind of look like as y'all transitioned?
Um, it was just kind of different time management and just like your scheduling because in college, some days you don't have class, some days you got two, some days you got a lab and you just got a bunch of stuff going on. And so it was just kind of different seeing how your schedule would be because it could change every day. Like, I mean, we got 6 a.m. workouts sometimes, and then we'll have a midday, just a small group kind of skill work, and then we'll have practice again later that night, and then you're filling in the other times like with class and trying to take a nap because you're tired, and then you need to eat and you gotta study and everything. So I think that was the biggest difference for me. especially just because in high school you're in school for however many hours and then you go to practice and then you go home. But in college, it's just a bunch of stuff going on throughout the whole day.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That was one of the biggest like reality checks. Like you're kind of on your own and it's like up to you to figure out when you're going to get extra shots in, when you're going to study and all that stuff. And obviously we'd be tired during preseason. We have 3 days, 2 days. But once you get into the season, you're kind of more focused just on like game stuff, and it's a lot better, I think, because we just do film and scout and then like regular practice and then weights a few times a week. So it's less you have to manage, but that I would agree that's probably the biggest change from high school to college.
And also another thing that I had thought about, and I may be wrong on this, but I feel like y'all got really good about your diet and nutrition in college too. You weren't like terrible about it in high school, but definitely enjoyed some sweets and some fast food. But I feel like nowadays you'll are very aware of what you're putting in your bodies and very focused on being nutritionally balanced, as long as on top of being exercising and weightlifting and all of that.
Yeah. Considering it's like our major
Yeah.
exercise science, we had to take like a nutrition class and we always want to like try and eat the best things for us, but when we're on the road, we get like fast food or pizza or something just easy from like away games because it's up to the coaches and stuff. So during the season, we probably eat more fast food than outside of the season, but when it's up to us, we try to eat like somewhat healthier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
during the
that's what
middle
I
of the
was gonna say.
season. Oh, go ahead, Lenny.
I was just gonna say that's what I was gonna say. Like it's with our major, so we kind of understand like the importance of a good diet, and we kind of know how to build that now. And so we've tried to cook a little bit more and tried to, and we've stuck with it for a little while. But like you said, in the season, we kind of have late practices and away
It's not
games.
as
So
easy. Yeah.
yeah, we find ourselves just, hey, you want to go get Chick-fil-A, or like, let's just go get something real quick because no one feels like cooking when we get home late.
And I mean, y'all are burning so many calories and working so hard at that time. I mean, there's all kinds of athletes there's NFL athletes, NBA athletes that swear by McDonald's, and Alvin Kamara eats his Airheads. Marshawn Lynch would eat his Skittles, and Chad Ochocinco or Chad Johnson, he swore all he ate was fast food. He did not eat, and he's like a Hall of Fame wide receiver in the NFL. He said he swore by McDonald's. So
Yeah.
there's, I mean, if you're athletic and you're working hard, hey, you can sometimes overcome, I guess, a little bit of that fast food grease and nastiness.
Yeah, because me and him definitely like our ice cream and candy and stuff. So that's kind of hard to give up.
Yeah.
uh, so obviously your freshman year was a little tough, but things started moving in the right direction. So why don't we kind of talk a little bit about sophomore year? What were some of the differences as you became a little bit more of leaders on the team, got a little bit more ingrained in the team, and just got things rolling a little bit better, had some transfers. Why don't you talk about sophomore year and your experience with that?
Lainey?
Oh, did Delaney cut out on us? Em, why don't you start, and we'll let Delaney try and reload here.
Okay. Sophomore year, we started off pretty well going into the season. Everybody was ready to play because we kind of were locked up the year before, basically. So we came out pretty strong. And then we just ran into some bumps in the road, I guess, with team chemistry and just not being on the same page as everybody. So we ended up not having that great of a season, but I mean, definitely got experience and learned a lot from that year. And like you said, like we had to step up and be more of leaders that year. So I think that kind of prepared us for the season that we're having this year. Even though we struggled a little bit more last year. But yeah, I think there were still some good things that came out of it.
Yeah, I also think like a lot of good came out of it just because we got to experience a full season. Like even though it wasn't our best year and we didn't make it super far or anything, didn't have the best record, it was still just good to learn from it and just kind of get a feel of college basketball because we didn't really get that our freshman year. So it was just cool to see how like the whole season goes, how everything transitions, and it, like you said, it just prepared us for this year, I guess, and we got to get ready for that in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to look at it and just shows how kind of strong-minded and strong-willed y'all are that, hey, you might have had some things not go exactly the way you wanted during the season, but you can still take the positives out and parlay that into an awesome season, at least from my perspective, watching this year. And I hope y'all are just as excited. So recently we got some awesome news that the USC Aiken Lady Pacers got an at-large bid to go to the NCAA tournament. They punched their ticket. They're going dancing. How excited are y'all? Starting with D, we'll flip it back around again. Start with Delaney. How excited are you to be able to play in the tournament, travel to such an awesome kind of event, and be able to see all these cool things, see all these cool teams, and just be a part of an awesome experience?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like we all got together as a team last night, ate some food, got some drinks and everything. We're all watching the show together, and I mean, as soon as our name came up on the board, we all start screaming, jumping, cheering, and it was just a really fun like memory. Like I'll never forget that. And then I'm sure when I get to the tournament, I'll never forget that either. Like it's just a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity. Not everyone gets this chance, and I'm just really excited, and I just want to see what we can do, how far we can get, and I'm just ready for it to come already.
Yeah, and I mean, like we grew up watching March Madness, and it's crazy that like now we're in it. Obviously, it's not as big like we're Division 2, but like
Still,
we're
it's the same format,
the
64
NCAA
teams,
tournament,
NCAA
like
tournament. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, we were just all going crazy last night when we saw our name pop up, and especially we're playing a team like in our conference, so like it's just gonna be really exciting. We're really ready for it, and it's just yeah, something I'll never forget for sure.
And I do want to take a step back here in a second, but I'm glad because I do want to go over the season a little bit. But I'm glad you mentioned you all are really prepared for this. What kind of preparation goes into a game like this? Obviously, there's a lot at stake, but there's also a massive ceiling here. Y'all don't want to be looking too far forward. Got to focus on the game at hand. But hey, you just keep winning one at a time, and you see where it takes you. What kind of preparation does a game like this require? Is it different than the regular season? Why don't you kind of run us through that, starting with Emily?
So, I think it is a little bit different from just a regular season game because we all know like what's on the line. Like we can literally win or we go home, and the season like is over, like for sure. But it is also a team that we played twice already this year, so we kind of know what to expect, what kind of team they are. So we have a little bit of background history on them. So I think that helps us a lot. And we obviously just really have to be mentally strong at this part of the season. We have to lock in and focus on the main goal that we have, and we can't really let up. Because I mean, we can't like we go home if we don't win. So I think that's a little bit different, but I think right now just practicing and continuing to play hard and practice and getting each other prepared is what's important. We leave on Wednesday and we play Friday, so we only have a few more days until we head out.
Yeah, like she said, we just kind of got to take it day by day. I think practicing and pushing each other to our limits, it kind of just gets us prepared for what we will see because we have played this team twice, like she said, and we lost both times, but they're a beatable team. Like
For
other
sure.
teams have beat them in our conference. And so our conference is just so good, and it's just like anyone can beat anyone. And so I think if we just keep preparing and, like you said, be mentally strong and just ready for this game, I think anything could happen, and it would be really fun to see how far and how it goes and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm excited to watch y'all, and I can't wait to. I have a feeling y'all are just going to get on a roll here. I have a feeling you two, something special could happen. I mean, every single year. So I mean, there has never been a March Madness where there isn't a Cinderella story or something crazy happens, or a team that, hey, maybe everybody is thinking, they're not going to make a run, and they make a run. So I'm
That's
excited
why
to,
it's called March Madness.
yeah, it's madness. So I'm
Yep.
excited for that. But I did want to talk about the awesome season that y'all had to get to this point. Obviously, a record of 18-11, which is pretty freaking good. I mean, it's like you said, your conference was really tough this year. A lot of close games, some of them that went your way, and some of you Pay Dirt listeners have heard about those games. Some of the crazy game winners. Me rambling on, uh, just talking about them hitting game winners and crazy things happening. But why don't you just start off at the beginning of the season? What was the team feeling like? What did y'all expect going into the season? We'll start with D.
Um, we just really wanted to have a turnaround from last year. Like, we knew just from the get-go, it was a different team. We had a lot of freshmen, we had some transfers, we had a lot of new people, and so we kind of just wanted to get to know each other, get our chemistry going, and I think that happened pretty early, like in the preseason when we were scrimmaging each other and everything. And so we had a few scrimmages against other teams, and we saw how good we could be when we play together and we share the ball. And it was just like a whole different thing from last year. It was really fun to see. And then we just, at the beginning of the season, we started winning some games. And we had a good roll going for a while. And we could see how good we're going to be and how good we can be if we keep playing how we need to play. And I mean, that's what has led us to coming this far and having such a different season than last year and having a good record and being ranked in our region and everything. Like, that just comes from us playing together and having good chemistry. And I think it's just been a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like she said, we were a whole new team this year. But I think that helped us out in a lot of ways. Like a lot of our freshmen have stepped up. We start like 2 or 3 freshmen every night. So they had a big role to fill. And I think they did a really good job with it this season. And like as returners like me, Lainey, and then like some other players on our team, like we just kind of led them to showing them like how we play, how we want to play. And yeah, I think we just all bond really well together, and it just shows on the court whenever we can be friends off the court. It transfers onto the court. We just want each other to do well and want each other to succeed, and that's how we win games. So it's been a lot of fun this year for sure.
And y'all, so I kind of got a funny question here. Y'all don't have to name any names or anything like that, but have there kind of been any maybe times during practice or times in the locker room that some of the freshmen are being a little stupid or immature and y'all have had to
Yes.
whip them into shape? Y'all don't have
Every
to go into exact names, but why don't y'all each come up with a little example of when you've had to instill some wisdom into one of these dumb freshmen?
Yeah. Our group of freshmen this year are something different. They're hilarious. But sometimes they just don't realize the time and place. So, like, whenever we're in practice, towards the end, we go over like the other team's plays and everything. Like, we're scouting and everything. And sometimes the freshmen on the baseline, like, if they're not in, they're not always focused and they're like making weird noises and just laughing. And either one of us or Coach Miller always has to like snap at them to like pay attention and lock in. But I mean, they're hilarious. It's
Yeah, so it's lighthearted, but sometimes you do have to be all right. We got to take this serious now. Come on.
yeah.
And then sometimes when we're on the bus back from away games, even if it's like a win or a loss, we have to stay for the men's game sometimes. So it's kind of we're kind of past our game. Like no one's really
Thinking about it. It's
thinking
over.
about it too much like they were a couple hours ago after it just happened. And sometimes on the bus, they'll just be laughing, making weird noises, calling out people's names, like messing around with the men's team who are sitting right across from them. And so they just, like Em said, they don't know the time and place. Like they're just
So
in their
y'all could have
own
lost a
world.
big game, and the men's team could have lost a big game, and these freshmen are
Yeah.
like making stupid
Yeah, they're
noises
just
out
in
there.
their own world. They're hilarious and they're just making these weird noises and in these accents and funny voices. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, how'd you even come up with that stuff? But yeah, sometimes we'll get a text in our team group chat to be like, you guys need to calm down and be quiet. And just like, sometimes they're a little much, but they're hilarious.
Do you think overall that has kind of been intertwined with some of the chemistry improvement that y'all had mentioned before, though, is being able to just be relaxed around your teammates, not have to worry about so much and be able to joke and laugh around? And how important is that to team chemistry for you guys?
I think it's extremely important and it has definitely helped because although they are extremely goofy and just weird sometimes, like it helps because we can all be that. We can all be goofy and messing around with each other and everything. And that just, if we're having fun off the court, we're obviously going to have fun on the court. And I think it really translates and it helps us out.
Yeah, for sure. Last year we didn't really have that, and you can just see the difference in this year's season's results and just who we are as a team. Like we're just completely different and we're all actually like friends off the court, and that hasn't always been the case. And it reminds me a lot of like Brentwood basketball because they were our best friends and we played well. And so now we're all close as a team and we're playing well. So I think it definitely correlates and it helps a lot.
Yeah, it's fun to, and even talking to some of my friends, like, and some of you Patriot listeners, they've been on the show. The Batistas have joined in and kind of offered their insights about what it's like to be a basketball player. And they're obviously from the high school perspective, but they played at a very high level in high school. So they kind of have talked about some of those chemistry things and what it's like to have a super strict coach in Coach King and then move to somebody who's a lot more lackadaisical. And we can go back and forth on Shirley, how we want to finish that conversation. They've already given their 2 cents on them. So it's kind of cool to just see that carries over in every level of basketball, that there has to be some team bonding. There has to be some chemistry off the court to be able to get any chemistry on the court.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Y'all have obviously had an awesome season, some great achievements so far. Delaney, I know you had a big night, 27 points this season, had a couple other big games as well. Obviously playing amazing this year, was all conference, correct? First team all conference. So she got that award, and then is shooting a 50-40-90, which if you basketball listeners out there should definitely know what a 50-40-90 is. That's 50% from the field, 40% from three, 90% from free throw. And in fact, Emily, it happens to lead the D2 NCAA in the country in free throw percentage. So obviously some big individual achievements alongside some big team achievements, and hopefully some even bigger team achievements moving forward. What has kind of brought on some of this elevated play? Em, why don't you kind of start us off talking about some of that? And Delaney, why don't you kind of talk about when you're feeling comfortable and shooting your shot and hitting big buckets? What does that feel like? Em, you go first, though.
I think a big part of it is knowing like we're graduating this year. Like this is our last year at Aiken, so we really wanted to make like a statement and trying to make the best of it because obviously our first 2 years weren't the best and we wanted to turn that around for our senior year. Yeah, and then also just being around the right people. I mean, that's helped us out a lot. They always want me to succeed, and so that's been really helpful. And then this year's been a little bit different for me position wise. The first 2 years I've been more of like a 2 or 3 like shooting guard, and this year I got kind of moved down to the 4 spot, which has opened up a lot of mismatches for me and has really like opened up my chances of scoring and being able to create while also like getting other people open as well. So I think that's been a big help for me in my season. Just switching up my position and just really wanting to end my time with Aiken with a really big season. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's great explanation. I love the breakdown of mismatches at the four, and it's cool to kind of see you move to almost a point forward position. Not necessarily bringing up the ball every time, but still being an option out there to be able to handle the ball in
mhm.
press or whatever it may be.
Yep.
And Laney, you've maintained a pretty amazing 3-point percentage throughout high school, throughout college, carried that on this year. With that 27-point game, what were you, 6 for 8 or 6 for 9 from three that game, something like that? And you've had some other games where you had multiple 3, 4 3-pointers. So why do you think that is? You've been able to perfect your jump shot so much, and then how does it feel out there when you're just throwing them up and the goal feels like the ocean? Just everything you're throwing up goes in.
Yeah, well, that game I was actually 6 for 7, and I was 9 for 10 field goals.
Nine for
So
10. That's what I was thinking.
I
Yeah.
only missed one shot the whole game. So, um, it's, it's just I don't even know how it happens. Like, I really don't. I think
It's
it's
just
just
repetition, I
muscle memory.
guess.
Yes, it's just repetition and muscle memory. Like, a lot of people tell me I don't hold my follow through, or I they just try to correct my shot, and I'm like, what works for me. And I've we've put a lot of time and effort into trying to perfect our shot in our game, and I think that has helped, just getting extra shots up consistently. And so that definitely helps. But I mean, just having a team that I know believes in me helps a lot, because sometimes if I'm having an off day in practice or I'm not hitting my shots in a game, I tend to get down on myself just because I want to be perfect. I want to make my shots. Like, that's just my role. Like, I'm supposed to be knocking down these shots and everything. And so when I'm not, it feels nice to have a team and coaches have my back, and they're saying, you're good, next shot, next shot. Like, you'll make the next one, trying to encourage me and everything. So I think that helps me personally a lot, because I tend to get down on myself. But yeah, those games where I just don't miss, it just feels fun. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just fun to make shots and then to facilitate for my teammates. And then if my shots aren't going in, someone else's are. And so it's just fun to play like that.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's even played pickup basketball before has at least had one of those days where you're shooting like, I should not be shooting like this. I should not be scoring like this. This is way too much fun right now. So, yeah, anybody that has played basketball pickup or at the college level, whatever it may be, you know that feeling. So I don't want to get too far into it, obviously, because y'all still have this season going on, a lot to focus on now, but y'all are looking at opportunities to continue your education first and foremost, but also get the opportunity to continue playing at a high level. Are y'all excited about continuing to play another year, get better, and kind of showcase your talents and keep moving forward? Dee, why don't we start with you and we'll finish up with them?
I'm definitely excited, especially just because we're thinking about going to different schools after Aiken. And so I think we're just ready to experience something new, and going to another D2 or another school who has our program and a good basketball program. I think it'll be a great opportunity. Regardless if we're together or not, I think it's just something we both want to experience, and I'm very excited, but obviously have to finish out the season in
Yeah.
Aiken, and hopefully we can do something special there.
Yeah, like Lainey said, I mean, we've been together for 21 years now, side by side. It's like I go somewhere and by myself and they're like, "Where's your sister?" So, I think we're ready to separate for these next 2 years we have. We aren't sure exactly where we want to go yet, but we're trying to figure out where we can keep playing basketball and also get obviously our education somewhat paid for is the plan. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. Aiken has been definitely a learning experience. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of challenges, but I think we're really ready to find something new and just experience something else.
Yeah, I think that just kind of shows the personal growth and maturity that y'all have reached in college, that hey, we're not little twins anymore. Like we're our own people, and are confident in ourselves and confident in our abilities, and know we can succeed whether each other are there or not. So I'm really proud of you guys for obviously working so hard to get to that point and be able to make decisions like this. And part of that, like you were saying, is your education. And I did want to talk a little bit about your futures there, still being involved around athletics. Obviously, that's a big part of y'all's lives, y'all's passions. Em, why don't you kind of talk about what you are studying, what you're looking forward to, and kind of the path that you're looking to carve out? And Laney, why don't you answer after that?
Yeah, like you said, we definitely want to stay in the athletic world. Like, I just couldn't imagine giving that up. So I want to continue studying to be a physical therapist, get my doctorate. And right now I'm interning at a place in downtown Aiken, and I've gotten the opportunity to learn from a physical therapist and help out around his clinic, and it's just been amazing and really has reassured me that I think I want to be a physical therapist. And I went to physical therapy a couple years ago, and I just love the environment of it, and I love the fact that you can help rehab someone back to their sport. And I just think that's a really important and really cool job. So that's definitely what I'm on track to do right now.
And do you think, I know you kind of went through some bursitis issues in your knee and have had some different kind of problems with that. Has that kind of led to your passion to helping athletes recover and be able to get back out on the field or court?
Yeah, definitely. And like when I had a partial tear in my ACL and PCL, like I was in so much pain, and I had these doctors telling me like there was nothing wrong. And when I finally went to a physical therapist, they just kind of like reassured me that like I'm not crazy, and like
Yeah.
there is something wrong and they can do something to make me feel better. And I just think that I want to do that for someone else one day, because that really stuck with me and definitely created a passion for physical therapy for me.
That's awesome. D?
Yeah, I want to continue my academics and do a master's program in athletic training. And right now I'm interning with our athletic trainer at the Convocation Center. And so I've got to do treatment on a bunch of different athletes that, and it's kind of funny because like some of them are my friends. So I'm kind of just like doing treatment and then like also just hanging out and talking. So it's been really fun doing it somewhere that I like am comfortable around and I know people and everything. But actually the past week I got to go with our athletic trainer to the men's tournament game because since we had lost our game, we weren't practicing or playing. And I got to go with our athletic trainer and I got to tape up some of the players and do treatment on them before their game. And so it was just give them waters during the game. And so it was kind of fun. I got to see what it really is like to be an athletic trainer at the collegiate level. And so eventually I think I want to do it for a professional sports team, but I'm obviously going to have to work my way up. And so just doing it at Aiken, it's been really fun and I definitely want to stick with it. Everyone always says you don't want to do it because they have terrible hours and everything, but I think it's the fun part, just spending all day with athletes and watching sports and trying to help people and get them better and when they're injured and everything. I think it's fun. So I'm really excited to continue that journey.
And everyone on our team kind of looks at Lainey as like a
Yeah.
half athletic trainer. Like if someone's hurting, like they rolled their ankle, they're always like, Lainey, what's wrong? Like, what do I need to do? And she like sometimes helps them with like their treatment or everything. And it's just been kind of funny seeing her like actually step up and be part of the athletic training like faculty, because we only have one. So she actually does help out a lot. And it's
That's
been
pretty
fun.
cool. I didn't know that. That's almost like there's been so there used to be player coaches in the past in sports. You'd be a player and a coach, but I've never heard of a player trainer before. That might be
Yeah.
the first time in history that we have a player and a trainer combined for the team. That's pretty awesome. And that's, I
Yeah.
mean, that's good to know for personal use. Obviously, you dealt with some injuries this season as well, Laney, and struggled a little bit with that. But kind of You mentioned going into the pro field. Would you imagine yourself sticking with basketball, or are you open to like women's soccer or going to do baseball or football, or what would you kind of want to do? Do you want to stick around basketball? Do you want to stick around women's sports? Do you want to move to football, move to men's sports? Kind of run us what through that looks like.
Honestly, I would be fine doing it for any sport. I think baseball or football would be really cool, but at the same time, they're like grown men and are probably kind of gross, and I'd have to touch their feet and everything.
They're
And
nasty
so there's,
athletes' feet.
yeah, well, there's just like some things that I like didn't realize I'd have to be doing, and so it's like having to touch people's feet and all that kind of stuff. It still kind of grosses me out, but I'm gonna have to toughen up and get used to it. But I think any sport would be really cool. I think it's more about location for me because I want to stay in Nashville. I think that would be fun. So event
Go
like
work
work
for the Titans,
or like working
the
for the
Sounds,
Sounds or the Titans or
the
even the
Preds.
Preds. Like I don't
That would
know.
be
I feel like
awesome.
that'd be kind of cool just to
Yeah,
wear a
that'd be
bunch
the
of
coolest job ever.
yeah, I get a bunch of merch and I'd be living in Tennessee and Nashville and hanging out with athletes all the time. I feel like that'd be the perfect job.
Yeah, I mean, sounds right up your alley. That'd be fun. You
I
get free
know.
tickets to the games because you're on the sideline, so
Yeah.
it'd be a lot of fun. And see if you could swing maybe see if you can swing a Titans job, and then see if you can get us some tickets.
Yeah.
I'll work on it.
But we are just about out of time here, girls. Once again, we have Emily and Delaney Trushel, my twin sisters of the USCA Women's Lady Pacers basketball team. That is University of South Carolina Aiken, which you listeners are certainly familiar with if you've been keeping up with the episodes. Obviously, there's still a lot more to this story of the Trushel girls, where their basketball careers are going to end up. So we'll probably have to do a follow-up at some point, bring y'all back on, do a little update for the listeners, because I know they're going to be itching to find out what happened to y'all. We can't leave them on a cliffhanger. So girls, Emily, Delaney, do y'all have any closing statements before I shut us out here?
Just want to say thanks for having us, and we'll definitely have to come back and give you all an update on where we end up next.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, and everyone should watch the NCAA tournament and watch us kill it this season. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Y'all better be tuned in to the NCAA tournament. There's going to be a crazy run all the way to the national championship for the Lady Pacers, I'm predicting. Hey, you never know what can happen.
anything is possible.
Anything is possible. In the famous words of Kevin Garnett, we'll have to have Seth and Dunny back on to interview you guys. I'm sure they'll probably have a million questions for you guys. But thank you again, girls, and thank you, Pay Dirt listeners, for tuning in on another episode. Don't forget, we are a part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Make sure to check them out online at sixpackcoverage.com, or you can check out all their socials, Instagram, Twitter, at Six Pack Coverage. And then also check out our socials. So Pay Dirt Sports, one word, is our Instagram, and then paydirt_sports is our Twitter. Be sure to follow along there for updates and new stuff coming out. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you again, and Pay Dirt out.